Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're focusing on states who are indebted, states who haven't paid salaries, basically. You heard some of the reasons why they think that they are in that situation. But let's take you through what Vanguard published. That's some of the states that they investigated and found out were those who were also not yet paid any salaries.
Okay, those are the figures just coming through. Osun State 12 months, Kwara State 11 months, Bayelsa 7 months, Ondo 7 months as well, Ekiti 6, Oyo 6, Benue 4 months, Nasarawa 2, Abia 2 months, and Imo State 2 months. What do we say about these figures? I mean, from the highest 12 months, Osun and Kwara, and then to Imo State just 2 months. What is Imo doing better than Osun State?
It's when you have a high debt profile, and don't forget that some of them raise bonds, and especially during the 2015 elections, and hoping to do one project or the other, and the money probably diverted to some other things, maybe campaigns and all that. And again, it's not that any state is doing better than any other this thing. Don't forget, in the case of Osun, Osun had been highly indebted, and any money that comes at the point in 1 month, Osun received about 11 million. And a senior friend of mine joked, said that, look, the governor should just pack his bag and go to his village.
11 million naira?
11 million, yeah, out of the whole state allocation in 1 month. So how do you want him to function? He should just pack his bag and go back to the village, and in 1 month in Osun State. So you see, Osun is highly, the debt profile is is very high, and I'm surprised at Kwara also, they're going second on the list, and even Bayelsa, with all the derivative of
oil money
and all that. But a friend of mine I went to visit in Bayelsa recently. He described the government as oppressive, that they're running an oppressive economy. Now, this guy runs a business. Almost at the point, he was the second largest employer of labor in Bayelsa. And then suddenly the government felt that if they patronize him or do anything, he will have money to challenge in an election, especially a 2015 election. So they crumbled his business, and they said that nobody should, or if they patronize him now, that he will have money to challenge the government. And this oppressive economy that people run.
So
how do you want people?
It has a political undertone to this money's being owed.
Yeah, because one is that you need to maintain. Don't forget that power struggle. It's not just Nigeria. In Africa as a whole, there's this power struggle. You struggle to get into power. You struggle to retain power. Okay, so because they're in governance, people don't get the dividends of anything. Wow. The major government projects are not done, okay? And then the least you can do is to bring in more people. Oh, I employ so many people. But how many businesses are running?
Well, because we understand that some states are already calling, saying, no, we're not owing, but that's what was published in the daily, so they were just bringing it to the attention of what was published, so they might as well just let the authorities know, come forward with their documents, show that they don't owe it. But there were some conditions given before those facilities. I mean, sometimes they call it conditional loan facility, budget support, but lots of people, I think they understand it faster when you say bailout to states. And some of those conditions which were given to the states, I think at that time, was it about 30 states? Almost a lot of states were struggling
28 states.
to meet up with those conditions. They couldn't actually get them. So as you may see, some of those conditions that were given, that they were supposed to publish their audited reports, publish how some of these funds are being expanded. But these are the conditions. Are they that stiff to the extent that so many states couldn't meet up with these conditions?
No. These are, nobody gives you money, free. There's no free money anywhere. You have to state, how you want to use money. Even as a parent, Chamberlain, when your son or daughter asks you for money, you have to ask, what do you want to do? This money I'm giving you, these are the things that you have to do with it. And when you have disbursed this money, you call the child back and say, how have you spent this money? Make account. Companies do it. You apply for some money to travel or to do this. When you come back, they ask you to retire the money. Tell us how you spend this money we gave you. And if there's any balance, you return. So because one is that these are really simple things that people should, that a whole state will not say that they don't have this.
Look at this number 10.
Yeah.
Share the database of companies within each state with the federal inland revenue.
That's the point. There are no companies there. How are they going to share? Because they are not attracting investment. They are not attracting investment. And there are people who are there, if they want to invest, they come to maybe Lagos, maybe this. Especially in the southeast and the south-south.
Do you think states have been open with their finances?
They have not been open. I wouldn't say they have been open. Some states are not. Some states are. I remember in the past, some state governors would publish, the audited account of the state. But when you go to details, they don't really, they're not sincere about all of this. But if they are, what does a man want? Nigerian, what do they want? Come back, there is, you turn on your TV, it works. You turn on the tap,
Some
it works.
wants much more than that, because the reports you see on a regular basis, the monies that were discovered in cars, in shops, these are mind-boggling. So you ask yourself, what do they want? They want far much more.
Yeah, they want more, but again, why are they putting monies in all these containers? Because they're afraid. That's the body language of the business, of the government. That's the body language of the government. There's no government anywhere in the world that is not corrupt.
The body language of the government suggests to so many today that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, wants to help states to get out of this mess. As a matter of fact, he has also said just recently that they are still going to help the states with another tranche of bailout funds. If that happens now, how do we begin to ensure that this backlog of 11-month salaries being owed, 2 months in some cases, is offset?
Now, what I would say this, tie the bailouts to projects. If you just give states money to do
pay salaries, it's not going to work.
No. You don't borrow to consume. They must find creative ways of generating money too. But tie these monies to projects. Then projects will yield money to pay salaries. Because one is that you may have a whole lot of staff. Some of them are overstaffed. Some states are overstaffed. Okay?
You mean ghost workers?
Not even ghost workers. They're real workers. You go to any government at this thing. Somebody's job, is to carry file from one office to the other. When you can do intranet, and so that you can send mails and all that. Okay? And that person can even go to the farm and begin to revive the agric extension that we had in the 60s. When Okpara was a premier of the Eastern region.
Do you think the agricultural sector is attractive for state governments to pursue in line with the diversification of the government?
If the thinking is right, it is. How do we have a natural endowment in this? Finland, that's almost the highest producer of rice and all that. They had about 39 or 30 something arable lands or something. But Nigeria has 3 or 4 times more than Finland. But why are we not doing that? Because we see agriculture as 95% work. It's not supposed to be so. Agriculture is science, and that's why it's called agricultural science. But our thinking, we have removed science from agriculture. So we have to think every day, what can we do to produce, not wait for seasons. Technology has made it possible for us to do that. So you have to plant crops every month, every 2 months, this thing, and then establish industries. What the states could do is to industrialize, is to look at the agriculture, for instance. How do we produce raw material base for, say, Ebonyi State? A raw material base is enough for any state, so that industries can begin to spring up and take those raw materials as their own raw material. It will be finished good for one, and there be a raw material for the other level of industry. And just like that. But we don't think It's like our leaders have outsourced their thinking to either China or India or US or Europe. Nobody's thinking of how do I produce this?
How sustainable do you think that initiative between Lagos State and Kebbi State that came up with Lake Rice?
Yeah.
Do you see perhaps maybe other states trying to improve their own investments using the bailout funds if they come this time around to go that way that Lagos and Kebbi State went and maybe have something at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's what I said, that those monies should be tied to projects. Lagos State also is sustainable. If the arrangement with Kebbi State is sustainable in the sense that if they are creative enough about it, transportation system, moving those things down to Lagos. Lagos, there are no farmers and all that, but food is cheapest in Lagos. But the point is that Kebbi State, for instance, Lagos can do what Saudi Arabia is doing in one of these African countries, because the rich nations, they don't have land, to cultivate. So what they're doing is looking into Africa, where that has virgin land and all that. In one of these, Mozambique, for instance, Russia, Saudi Arabia, they all have farms. They bought land, and they're harvesting, planting the crops that we eat there, not the crops that we consume in Mozambique. Do you understand that? That's the global trend now, that nations are surviving. Okay. So these are some of the things that we need to be thinking. Wow. How creative ways of getting things done.
Well, this is a subject that will be interesting and we need to focus on in the days ahead, because there are several people who suggest that the states themselves are frustrating investment in terms of when you get land, it's difficult for you to go get your registration. You can get certificates of occupancy and such, and that's what the ease of doing business are trying to address.
Because let me mention, I was in South Africa some time ago. They already had these things. All you need to do is bring in your machine, and then you have a tax break. Now, there are some companies who have been trying to get, just for government to give them land. All they needed was just land to set up this thing. Government is saying, oh, if I'm not, if you have money now,
if I'm not benefiting from it, then you cannot establish it.
Yeah.
All right. Even though we understand Quara has called in, they say no, the name shouldn't be on that list. That's published by Vanguard newspapers, but we'll just double check on all of this. But that's how far we can go this morning. We appreciate your coming on today. Dr. Austin Wise is an economist also of Pan Atlantic University. Thanks for coming on this morning.